going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, and I was enjoying the show tonight until Twice on the Bounce, the main event, disappointed me. And Twice on the Bounce, it disappointed me for the same reasons. I don't want real life shit fucking up with my wrestling. I don't want real life shit fucking with the brand of wrestling that I really love on a platform and on a night where we should be shining. And I'm not even going to take any digs at AEW tonight because I have to dig my own brand, so I can't even take digs at AEW. But AEW didn't have a show tonight. AEW's show is Saturday this week, which is fine, which is the prime opportunity for NXT to get in there, get up off their ass ratings-wise, and do something good. Not endorse pedophiles and put them in prominent pay-per-view matches. Anyways, gonna get the house cleaning out of the way first. Some of you guys know from watching my socials and all that sort of thing. I went to an event this past Sunday hosted by Destiny Wrestling. There wasn't any wrestling. It was a barbecue. It was like a social thing. We were all nice and spaced out and safe, and it was really, really cool. Saw some interviews, interviews with Alexia Nicole, interviews with the former Santino Marella. A couple other guys were there just sort of hanging out, like Aiden Prince, which was really cool. Always shout out to George Iceman, who's always a really cool dude to me, and who I think threw the whole thing together. They announced some pretty cool shit at that gathering that I'm going to get to in another video, but yeah, things are coming. At least for my local wrestling scene, which is great. On the flip side of the coin, flipping back over into the YWC side of things, I want to send a quick shout out to our own AEW correspondent, Guapo. He and his friend Mike Ruffin are starting their own Wednesday Night War type show, and conveniently enough, it's going to air an hour after this show that you're watching right now, if you're watching it live. So I encourage all you guys, Thursday night, 8 p.m. local time, go over to Facebook Live, look up the group for the Wednesday Night Wrestling show hosted by Ruffin and Guapo. And if you can't catch it live on the night, I believe the podcast form and YouTube form will drop on Friday. So they're going to be covering NXT and AEW. It says right in their description they're not even going to touch Raw and SmackDown. I love that. But yeah, they're doing their own thing. So shout out to Guapo, who's, you guys know, a big part of this channel. And Ruffin, who I haven't had a chance to work with yet, but seems like a pretty cool dude. Seems like he knows what he's talking about. And yeah, so that's good. We're gonna get Guapo back on here at the very least to do all-out predictions and all that sort of thing. There will be a preview of TakeOver 30, despite what we're gonna talk about later on tonight. I don't know. It may be one of two different co-hosts. I haven't quite nailed it down yet, or it might just be me. But there will be a preview for TakeOver 30. I don't know whether there's going to be a preview on this channel for SummerSlam. SummerSlam is, I mean, it's going to be in the Thunderdome, isn't it? I don't know what to expect from anything, and I'm pissed off as I do this. Also, as I said in the open, I am tired, so if I'm dragging ass on this more than I usually do, I apologize. But I'm also super deflated, as I said in the open, twice in a row, 2 weeks in a row, 2 episodes in a row. I can't get my excitement for this coming Saturday up to where it should be, because the main event just pissed me off. But we can build to that show, can't we? We can talk about this week's show. There was no previously on NXT this week. It was a cold open. It was literally like a flash of the NXT logo. And we went right into the first match, which was the last chance match between Gargano and Holland. Ridge Holland is a big dude with a stick, and one of the commentators said, oh, this is a guy that's got, he pulled out that old Jerry Lawler line of, oh, this guy's got muscles in places most people don't even have places, which is fine. So you put him up against a tiny guy like Gargano, and yeah. So collar and elbow tie and a front face plant by Holland, a corner beatdown, knuckle lock into an armbar by Holland, hip toss, a shoulder tackle by Holland as well. Holland for a guy that I don't know, for a guy that I'm not that into just yet, does know how to manhandle a person around the ring. I will give him that. PK by Gargano stomps on the hands and starts working the arm. Holland works on the back, high knees in the corner. Gargano works the arm again. Sledgehammer, big, huge, like, sledgehammer shot by Holland. Not literally, even though it's Triple H's brand. Ha ha ha, sledgehammer joke. And we move on. Knee bar by Gargano and a suicide dive as we go to the commercial break. Gargano's down as we come back from the commercial break, and they show a replay pretty quickly, and I don't know what he was trying to do. It kind of looked like a Death Valley driver, and it really did look like a legitimate botch that just, like, destroyed Gargano's neck. I thought it was literally a match stoppage. And then super kick and a near fall by Gargano and a forearm by Holland. But I will say, it was a fake out, he was playing possum and all that, but go back and look at that spot and tell me if it doesn't make you cringe just a little. People that I respect on Twitter and other forms of social media were like, "Ay, Jesus, fuck." I mean, either it was a botch and he worked his way through it, or it wasn't a botch and it was just made to look really, really good. Either way, shout out to Johnny Gargano. Super kick by Gargano with a pounce. Holland hit him with the pounce, which is good. Gargano there's such a size discrepancy that the pounce literally, like, papered him through the ring ropes. Snake eyes on the apron by Holland, but there's a distraction by Candice, which leads to a low blow, and the one final beat, which is still the best name for a finisher ever, and Gargano gets the win. Gargano gets to join Priest and Reed and Grimes. And Grimes, by comparison to some other people on this roster, isn't even that bad to me anymore. A little update on that. Gargano joins in, and I will say, much as I like Gargano, much as I like the fact that he's in this match, the idea that this ladder match was supposed to highlight specifically the newer guys in the company kind of gets thrown out the window. I mean, you got Reed, who's the personification of that. Grimes, who other people think is the personification of that, but I'd rather see Reed get a push. Priest, who has had a bit of a push. I mean, he got to have a pay-per-view match with Finn Balor for the short amount of time he's been in the company. But now you got Gargano in there. As they keep telling you, he's the first Triple Crown champion in NXT. That idea's kind of gone out the window. I mean, the more star power you put in there, the more happy I'll be if Grimes, or if Reed wins, obviously. It's funny, though, because we were, or at least I was, introduced to Johnny Gargano through the Cruiserweight Classic, and him and Ciampa and their run in the Cruiserweight Classic brought them to where they are right now. Because they hit so hard on Gargano being the Triple Crown champion, now that the Cruiserweight Championship has come to NXT, I know a lot of people would see it as a big step down from a former world champion on this brand. I would love to see Gargano hold that belt, only because it's how I was introduced to him in that Cruiserweight tournament, which eventually came out to the grapefruit roll-up version of that belt. You know, plus, you know, you can do the brag thing. You can do the Jericho thing. Oh, I beat The Rock and Austin in one night. You can brag about being the NXT Grand Slam champion. Can he not? Which is a total side note, which I've drifted off onto because I don't want to talk about... I'm going to talk about everything else that I possibly can to avoid talking about the main event. There's your preview of how this is going to go. Dakota Kai versus Jessi Kamea. Jessi Kamea? Who is Jessi Kamea? Put it down in the box below if I'm supposed to know. Basically an exhibition for Dakota Kai leading into her match with Io Shirai. I'm going to put my phone away because I've got Cresta Star's Twitter account flashing in my face right now, and that's really distracting. Double leg by Dakota Kai, mounted punches, snake eyes, a takedown by the hair by Kai, choke on the ropes, haluva kick by Kai, a straight jacket choke, rolling kicks by Kamea, and a sliding knee and a front slam is all she gets. But a hangman and a GTK, even though it's the GTS, gets the win for Dakota Kai. She's bragging, she's talking shit, she's going to win the title on Sunday. Rah. Post-match promo talks shit about Io Shirai. Io Shirai rushes the ring. They brawl to the outside, not necessarily the outside of the ring, but sort of the area adjacent to the entrance ramp, where we get the surprising but not that surprising return of Raquel Gonzalez. There's a 2-on-1 beatdown for a little bit, and then she does that awesome one-arm pop-up power slam, power bomb thing that she does. Raquel Gonzalez, although she doesn't really have a character other than being Dakota Kai's Diesel, she is impressive. Reina Gonzalez, which is how she was originally introduced to us, came in. She was just kind of there, and she was bigger than the other girls, which sounds really shitty, but that's basically all she had. And Raquel Gonzalez now, I think she's got a little bit more confidence. Obviously, she's had a little bit more time to work with a couple people in the ring and whatever. But the way she throws some people around, much like Ridge Holland, who just knew how to ragdoll Johnny Gargano, Raquel Gonzalez is becoming one of those people that will just sort of rip through somebody, and that's sort of in lieu of her having an individual character outside of Dakota Kai, so that's fine for now. I do hope that something happens between now and Saturday, and we do get a proper Io Shirai Dakota Kai match rather than a whole bunch of double teaming or whatever, because I do think, left to their own devices, Dakota Kai, Io Shirai could put on a hell of a match. I go back to, once again, the pay-per-view that Jake DeMarco and I spoke about, which was TakeOver Portland, and they added in the street fight between her and Tegan Nox, and nobody really saw it coming, but that was one of the best matches of the night, just saying. Speaking of Tegan Nox, she's in the back. She responds to Candice LeRae's weird at-home dinner with the Garganos promo, and it goes really soft, and I don't like it, because I would like to believe that Tegan Nox is a badass, but she says, you know what, we've always been friends. For those of you at home that don't know, we've always been friends, and we're going to solve this the way we always do, over a nice glass of wine. And it was just damp laundry waving in the breeze that didn't go anywhere, and that's unfortunate, because we've already seen Candice previously in the night, you know, having a big, strong effect on what's going on in the show, and now Tegan is just sort of here doing this, we're friends, we're gonna fix it, and I don't even want to say it's as good as the Liv Morgan Ruby Riott thing that's going on Raw, and when something's worse than Raw, we're doing something wrong. Finn Balor cuts another awesome backstage, his pre-taped video vignette promo things are great. He cuts a promo on his match later on tonight with You-Know-Who, talking about how You-Know-Who has had chance after chance after chance after chance after chance. And yeah, that's really real. I mean, he shouldn't have any chances anymore, but even before we found out that he was a diddler, he was getting way too many chances considering he didn't do fuck all in the main event scene. He managed to have a bad match with Adam Cole, and yeah, like, when he's on TV, when You-Know-Who is on TV, when is he not right in the thick of things? I mean, even when he wasn't interacting with Adam Cole, he was interacting with the rest of the Undisputed Era. He's interacting with, you know, Ciampa and all these, you know, top of the card people, and he's definitely not. So this promo about how he's giving you chance after chance after chance that he didn't deserve, that he messed up, whatever, combined with real life right now, where he's definitely getting a chance that he doesn't deserve. He shouldn't even be there to get that chance that he doesn't deserve. This promo, although not the context that is implied by this promo is way too fucking real. Legado del Fantasma versus Breezango and Isaiah Swerve Scott. Now, I don't like... Maybe I do, maybe I don't. I was going to say I don't like the results of this match. I do, because I like the Legado del Fantasma faction. I went into this thinking, okay, this is going to be an easy win. Swerve's going to pick up a win, and that's how he's going to justify having a title match for the Cruiserweight Championship at TakeOver. At this point in time, that is still not the case. But all six men brawl. There's a mud hole by Breeze, a Swerve and Escobar brawl on the outside. Chops by Fandango, a hangman by Mendoza. Body shots and a takedown by Fandango. A double super kick by Breezango. A baseball slide drop kick by Swerve. And another double super kick by Breezango on the outside on the ramp as we go to commercial break. Coming back from the commercial break, there's a corner beat down by Fandango. A hangman by Escobar. Wild stomps on the arm. Fandango's arm wrapped up from previous attacks. It's the... you know, the target point of the match. It's the story of the match. It's really good. Chops by Fandango with the good arm. Mendoza eats the post pretty fucking hard, and I think he almost fell out of the ring legitimately, which was kind of good. Hot tag to Swerve, who basically takes out everybody. Flatliner by Swerve, a high knee by Escobar, a triple team by Legado del Fantasma, and Breeze makes the save. Hangman by Escobar, Phantom Driver, and Legado del Fantasma get the win. Now, I don't know how Swerve being on the opposite end of this is going to get him towards a title shot, unless they're saving that for another pay-per-view. I'm going to hit a couple things over the head here. It's good that Legado del Fantasma won this match, because they are the three-man unit. Swerve and Breezango are the three-man equivalent of a thrown-together tag team. So to tell the story that they are not as on the same page as a three-man group is good. Legado del Fantasma is also one of the newest acts in NXT, and they won solidly as a trio. That is good. There's another announcement coming out in a second where them looking like a group is really good. But everybody that I've talked to wants Swerve to get a shot at Escobar for that championship. And if you followed any of my NXT pay-per-view preview videos, the ones I've done by myself, the ones that I've done with Connor, the ones that I've done with Jordan, the ones that I've done with Jake, I have said, since NXT saved this title needs to show up on pay-per-view. The closest thing that this title came to showing up on a pay-per-view. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought because I'm fucking tired. It is what it is. The closest thing that they came to properly showcasing this title in its current form on a takeover was when they did the Worlds Collide thing with NXT UK. And I'm sorry, I don't count that. That was a cool match. That four-way where Garza went in as champion and Devlin went out as champion. And where the hell is Devlin? Oh yeah, that's right, he got Me Too'd. Some people do get Me Too'd. Other people don't. Let's talk about that later on. But that's the only time I can think of, unless somebody can point out something that I'm forgetting or that I'm missing. It's never been featured on a takeover, and that is the last piece of the puzzle to reinventing this particular title. Now, it would have been cool if they had done it with some of the guys that had reinvented that title, like Devlin, like Garza, like Rush when he was in the company, etc. But you need to put that title on the pay-per-view, and you need to keep it as far away as possible from the kickoff. Now, we have another kickoff match going up that we're going to talk about in a second. But as of now, as of the end of tonight's go-home show, there is no Cruiserweight Championship match announced. Now, if they're going to bump this to the following week of NXT, I want that title to be on the show. I want that title to be on the show, on the pay-per-view, more than I care about who's fighting for it at this point, because I really want more people to think about that title the way I think of it, because it went from the awesome tournament to the failure that was the Cruiserweights on Raw, to the failure that was the 205 Live brand, to the re-emergence and the rebirth and the re-success on NXT. Please, this is the moment you put it on a takeover. The year that I went to Survivor Series, they chose randomly somebody from Raw, somebody from SmackDown, and I forget who was the champion at the time. And even then, Battle of the Brands over this coveted championship was still put on the kickoff. I really do hope that they make an announcement, or they do their last minute sell to get you to buy the show, and they say that Swerve versus Escobar has been added to the card, because Escobar's boys are going to be on the show. Now, this is on the kickoff. I don't mind this being on the kickoff as much. They announced after this was done, on the kickoff, there's going to be a triple threat #1 contenders match for the NXT Tag Team Championships. Now, Undisputed Era aren't in this, which is really interesting considering the match they just had recently with Imperium that got fucked up by Pat McAfee, which is good. We'll get there. But it's the other two members of Legado del Fantasma, which is Mendoza and Wild. Every time I do the Mendoza thing, I want to do the thing from The Simpsons, Mendoza! And I can't do impressions, so we don't do that again. But it is the other two members of Legado del Fantasma versus Breezango versus Lorcan and Birch. And it's funny because Breezango are kind of used as placeholders, Lorcan and Birch are kind of used as placeholders, and we haven't really pushed the other two members of Phantasma that much. So as a tag team away from Escobar is what I mean. So they could do a really cool thing here, because what's one thing that they do to get the factions over is to put all the belts on them. And now if Escobar is just going to hold on to his Cruiserweight Championship for a while and his boys pick up the tag titles, that, again, much like simply getting a win tonight, will make that faction more legitimate. Now, if they start legitimizing another faction, I'm going to be really, really worried about the status of the Undisputed Era on the NXT brand. But that is what it is as well. Speaking of the Undisputed Era, oh my god, I've got the transitions all over the place tonight. It must be because I'm tired. Undisputed Era come down to the ring. Brand spanking new, pissed off Adam Cole, pissed off Undisputed come out, and they call out Pat McAfee. Pat McAfee shows up with some friends. I don't know anything about football, guys. You know that by now. I'm assuming there are a couple of other football players. And Adam Cole says, you know, why don't you leave your friends behind? Pat McAfee says, why don't you put his friends behind? And I'm not going to tell you what Pat McAfee says in the promo, because Pat McAfee just rips on Adam Cole for quite a bit. Now, this is an interesting thing, because one of the best things about Undisputed Era, and Adam Cole specifically, is when they get on the mic, when they are either cutting a promo in the ring or when they do their pre-tapes, you know, they're usually in the back of a trailer, it looks like. So to have this exchange with Adam Cole on one side and the guy on the other side getting all the mic time was really cool. I really want Pat McAfee to be part of the NXT roster now, because this dude is MJF if he was a little bit better. Oh yes, go cry about it, AEW fans. How was your night tonight? But he brags about the beatdown that he put on him 2 weeks ago with that one shot to the head, left you laying, you know, left you with Shawn Michaels checking for your vital signs and all that sort of thing. And then he starts talking about the wrestling community and how he's going to have to, you know, I don't want to say too much in the promo, because I really do encourage anybody listening to me right now, if you didn't see this episode of NXT, I don't know why you're watching my review. That's always perplexed me. But if you for some reason didn't see this promo, pause what you're listening to right now. Pause the video, pause the podcast, go look up the Pat McAfee promo, because he digs a lot of different ways. He makes, the bingo hall references, and, fighting in front of 5 people in front of armories and all that, and, how he's done 7 different sports, and maybe he might choose to make pro wrestling his 8th and all this sort of thing. And I mean, his friends jump up and Undisputed Era jump up, and there's a more dramatic stare down. Adam Cole eventually breaks his silence and just says, this Saturday I'm going to make you my bitch. And for Adam Cole to say so little, and for Adam Cole to let the other side say so much, it was such an odd dichotomy from what we're used to from the Undisputed Era that it was really, really effective. Moving on, there was no physicality. There was a lot of implied physicality. There was a lot of, the guys that were there with Pat McAfee just leaning in and not really knowing how to look intimidating in a wrestling context, but that's fine. It is what it is. Pat McAfee is really good, and we're always nervous as wrestling fans, especially WWE specifically. I mean, we saw what AEW did with Mike Tyson, and it was terrible. But WWE as a whole has driven to death the idea of the celebrity appearance, the celebrity guest spot, the celebrity match. I mean, Big Show taking on Mayweather, Big Show being a sumo wrestler, and Zack Ryder having a match with Hugh Jackman. Was that a thing, or am I imagining that? I really do think they've done the NXT happy medium with this, because as I beat over the head 2 weeks ago, Pat McAfee is an NXT, even if he's not a wrestler, and I'm not saying he is a wrestler, but he is an NXT personality, he is an NXT character. So I think that's why this works. Plus he's just generally charismatic as hell, and he cut a great promo. I have a sneaky suspicion that they're going to put this in the main event spot, in the main event spot, I should say. Now that sucks for Cross and Lee, but we're going to get to that when we get to that. Robert Stonebrand in a tag team match taking on Shotzi Blackheart and Rhea Ripley. Ripley jumps Martinez to start the match, tosses Aaliyah across the ring, cannonball by Shotzi, corner spot, double leg drop, power slam by Martinez, and we go to the commercial break. Coming back from the commercial break, we got a boot by Shotzi, a neck breaker by Aaliyah, and a leg sweep, stomps by Martinez, a choke on the ropes and some corner chops, a double team by the Robert Stonebrand, seated abdominal stretch by Martinez, leaping DDT by Shotzi, which I think Mauro Ranallo called the Sky High DDT, but I'm not sure. Rolling lariats by Ripley, a low drop kick by Ripley, an electric chair facebuster, riptide by Ripley, who then turns her attention to Mercedes Martinez, takes her out of the ring, and gets her up in the powerbomb position. And I thought she was going to do that really dangerous thing that Sasha Banks did to somebody a little while ago, and sort of just do her up against the plexiglass. But because Rhea Ripley is infinitely more awesome than Sasha Banks. She didn't do that. She did something better. She got her up even higher, tossed her even farther, over the guardrail, powerbomb to the concrete. That's nice. Meanwhile, top rope senton by Shotzi on Aaliyah gets the win for Shotzi and Rhea Ripley. Now, I said it on Twitter, what we need to do from here, because neither one of these is featured on TakeOver 30, which is a bit of a crime, they need to go to Payback in like 10 days. They need to rescue the women's tag team championships off of people that don't need them, don't deserve them, bring them back to NXT and rehab them like we did with the Cruiserweight Championship, as I spoke about earlier. Moving on. There's a whole video that I did on this a little while ago about, you know, Trasha and Bayley breaking up and causing Evolution 2, and there's a lot of fun stuff in there. You should go back and watch it. We see a video package on Lee and Cross. Triple H likes Metallica, and this match is going to be awesome. I don't really know what else to tell you. Finn Balor versus, you know what, he who shall not be named. Collar and elbow tie, mud hole stomp, and a couple of takedowns by Balor. The guy we're not going to talk about bails to the outside and both men brawl. Corner beatdown by the guy we're not going to talk about, and a snapmare and some stiff kicks by Balor. Grounded side headlock by Balor and a rear chin lock followed by some chops. A Fez press by that guy we're not going to talk about. Body shots by Balor and a trip. Balor works over the leg. There's a knee bar. There's an ankle lock. There's a chop block, a trip, another knee bar by Balor, and a knee by that guy we're not going to talk about. Both of them trade some punches. There's some chops by Balor and a mud hole stomp. Grimes comes to the ramp and starts talking shit. Now, I don't know why, because if he caused a disqualification, like, he's still going to face one of these guys. I don't know who he wants to face more. It's never really implied. Outside of a real-life context, I don't really know who's supposed to be the babyface and who's supposed to be the heel in this main event, but it is what it is. Coming back from the commercial break, there is... Oh, should have mentioned, when Grimes came down, he walked down between the two ladders. They did the thing that mainstream WWE did, but except they did it better because they're NXT. If you can picture regular WWE and how they always hold the belts or the briefcase or whatever over the ring for the entire episode of Raw or the entire episode of SmackDown to remind you that there's a ladder match coming up, but they didn't do that. They had two ladders on either side of the rampway, and the belt was just hanging there, and it's not that different, but it's just different enough to be like, excuse me, it's just different enough that it became part of the entrance as opposed to it being part of the ring, if that makes sense. So Grimes, we come back from commercial break, has the belt in his hand, and he's sitting on top of one of the ladders watching the match. There's a low drop kick by Balor, who crotches that guy we're not going to talk about on the top turnbuckle. There's a trio, whoa, mudhole stomp, chops in the corner, boots on the floor by Balor, and there's a distraction by Grimes. But he gets up, standing sling blade and a shotgun drop kick, and there's another distraction by Grimes. Gargano comes out, tosses Grimes into the ring, and takes out the ref in the process so that all the shenanigans can happen. Sling blade by Balor and a super kick by that guy we're not going to talk about. Bronson Reed comes down to stare down Gargano. Priest joins and they all brawl. Balor takes out everybody with a suicide dive. But for some reason, Timothy Thatcher, who's not involved in anything, comes down, puts the beat down on Balor. So yeah, that guy we're not going to talk about because he's had way too many shots already and he's not a main eventer. And he's probably diddling, even though Triple H went and did all the PR for him and says, no. He was just off because of a car accident, not because he's out there diddling. Yeah, that guy is in the match. And then everybody piles in because that's what you do before a multi-person match. Everybody kind of does stuff. I struggle to care. As soon as this went down, I was like, fuck this. And you guys know me. I don't want to retread what I said last week, but NXT is my brand. It's the flag back there that I talked about last week, and it's the whole, like, it's the brand that I like to talk about. It's the brand that I like to stick up for during the Wednesday Night War, whether you think that's a real thing or not. It's what I would show a new person if I was trying to get them into wrestling. It wouldn't be AEW. It definitely wouldn't be Raw or SmackDown. And I have to hold them to a high standard. If you make a move that literally sucks all the enjoyment that you built up for me in the earlier parts of the night, putting Gargano into the ladder match, giving two women that I love, Shotzi Blackheart and Rhea Ripley, a nice, decent win, doing all this other all this other cool shit, the Pat McAfee, Adam Cole stuff, the stuff with Lee and Cross, everything else that I'm looking forward to, Dakota Kai and Io Shirai, and the return of Reina Gonzalez, and all this other stuff, and there's other women in the back that I could talk about, and we are addressing the tag team championship situation, even though there's not much of a tag team division. It's an attempt, all that, and you do bullshit like this that sucks me out right at the end. As soon as this goes down, I don't remember any of the good shit you got to before then, and it's so fucking dumb. At the end of it all, Bronson Reed stands tall with the North American Championship, which is still what I would really like to see on Saturday. Here's the thing. We're not going to talk about that other guy. Gargano getting the belt again, I wouldn't mind, because this new heel Gargano, if they give him the belt, they have to send Candice after the women's title so that they can do the couples as champions, the Triple H Stephanie power couple thing. They need to do that. Grimes, I would accept at this point, because there are much worse people out there, for one thing, but also there are enough other people that are into Grimes' shtick that I could do one of those sit back and, okay, you guys are having your minute type thing. Damian Priest is cool as fuck. If they put the title on him, awesome. They've already been pushing him a little bit, so that would be a next step in there. I want them to do the surprise ending of putting that belt on Bronson Reed. If they put the belt on the guy that shouldn't be in this match, that shouldn't be on this pay-per-view, that shouldn't be on television, that shouldn't be on this brand, that shouldn't be in this company, that shouldn't have a job right now, you guys are going to get a video from me on Saturday night or Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon or next Wednesday. I cannot believe he's showing up on pay-per-view this Saturday. I genuinely can't. I watch WWE and I see them pretend to poke somebody's eye out, and I see them fight in a swamp, and I see them fight in a graveyard, and I see tag team championships fought over in singles matches at WrestleMania, and I see dead guys, and I see Scarlett Bordeaux, who can apparently breathe fire into a contract folder, and anything you can imagine. I genuinely cannot believe, after the backlash last week, that this is the direction that they went. And if this is the direction that they went, it's probably the direction they're going this Saturday. And that's really fucking sad. And the thing is, this week, I had a big old rant last week. I watched it back. I don't watch myself back on video a whole bunch. And I was more animated than I thought in that video. And this week, I don't have the energy. I'm being as honest as I can with you guys. I don't have the energy this week to be as pissed off about this as I probably should. You know, the Me Too thing is a thing, for better or for worse. The speaking out thing was a thing, for better or worse. But I guess there's one more hashtag out there, and you know which one I'm talking about, that means more than both of those. And that's really fucking sad. And for the second week on the bounce, the brand of wrestling that I really love has disappointed me and deflated what should be awesome. It's the go home to a proper takeover in an arena. It's fucking takeover in the Thunderdome, brother. I should not be this deflated, and that is a big failure on NXT. And you guys that have been watching me for a long time know what it takes for me to say something like that. Before I get into the card for this Saturday, I want to say once again, either myself and somebody else will be doing a proper preview for this pay-per-view. I do encourage you guys, because if you guys are watching me live, this video has gone about 35-40 minutes now. In about 20 minutes, go over to Facebook Live, check out the Wednesday Night Wrestling show with Guapo and Ruffin. I'm sure they're going to knock it out of the park. I'll probably be there in the chat if I can. So shout out to those guys, and as I said, sometime later this week I'm going to tell you guys what I'm doing as far as my own little indie fed here in Mississauga, because that's some cool shit, and that's some cool shit that hopefully won't suck the life and the enthusiasm out of me. But let's look forward to this Sunday. On the pre-show, we've got Breezango versus Phantasma versus Lorcan and Birch for a title shot. Now, they didn't, unless I heard them wrong, the way they announced this, they said this was a #1 contendership for the tag team titles. I don't think they specified whether that title shot is going to happen the same night or not. But if it's not, then this is only a 4-match card. Obviously the North American Championship ladder match, Priest, Grimes, Reed, Gargano, and that other guy that doesn't deserve to be there. Kai versus Shirai is going to be really good. Lee versus Cross is going to be physical as hell. Cole versus McAfee, like I said, I'm enjoying it way too much. McAfee's fucking great. Adam Cole, you guys know what I think about Adam Cole, and I am predicting that they're going to surprise us and make this the main event, because I think they got something big planned for this. Now, if they throw in the tag team championship match on the same night, that makes it 5 matches. If they come along later on and grant my wish and throw that that cruiserweight championship match on the card, that'll be great as well, because Swerve and Escobar for that rejuvenated championship would be really, really good. Or just send Shotzi and Ripley out there to call out Sasha Banks and Bayley, because we know after Friday they'll already be in the Thunderdome, brother. Yes, I'm going to keep making fun of the Thunderdome. Yes, I'm also terrified as to the effect that the Thunderdome will have on TakeOver as we know it. But there's much more disappointing things this week. I don't know what to tell you guys. Anyways, I hope you guys aren't as bummed about this shit as I am, or I hope you are as bummed about it as I am. I'm not going to tell you guys how to feel, but I know a lot of you guys out there are really good. I know a lot of you guys feel where I'm coming from with that particular person. And yeah, no snappy joke, no witty, pun, or it just shouldn't be happening. It shouldn't. The rest of the card looks fucking great. You got Kai and Shirai on there. You could throw another women's match on there easily. Throw Ripley and Martinez on there. Hell, throw Aaliyah and Shotzi on there. Fill out the card. I'm just rambling at this point, and I'm tired, and I'm not exactly impressed with my brand right now. I'm going to go before I depress myself even more. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.
So shine, you're a freak like me.